On June 27, 1988, the most anticipated heavyweight fight in the world lasted just 91 seconds. 91. That's all it took. One punch, then another, and suddenly it was over. The undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Spinks, was lying on the canvas, while millions watched in disbelief. But here's what most people don't know. The real fight didn't end in 91 seconds. According to people who were there, it may have ended hours earlier. Some believe it ended in the locker room. Others say it ended the moment Michael Spinks looked into Mike Tyson's eyes. And at the center of it all was a dark secret Tyson had carried with him for years. A secret that transformed him into the most feared fighter on earth. Because the truth is, Mike Tyson wasn't born fearless. He was terrified. And what happened next changed boxing history forever. Chapter 1. The Boy Who Was Afraid. When people think of Mike Tyson, they picture destruction, explosive knockouts, terrified opponents, the most intimidating heavyweight in modern boxing. But the real story begins with fear. Lots of it. Long before the championship belts. Long before the money. Long before the fame. Mike Tyson was a frightened kid growing up in Brooklyn. The neighborhood wasn't forgiving. Violence was normal. Bullying was common. Weakness was dangerous. Tyson later admitted something many fans never expected to hear. He was scared almost all the time. Scared of stronger kids. Scared of getting hurt. Scared of looking weak. Fear followed him everywhere. And like many young boys living in difficult environments, he learned to hide it. But hiding fear and defeating fear are two different things. The fear remained, growing quietly beneath the surface, waiting. Then one day, Tyson met a man who would change everything. A boxing trainer named Cus D'Amato. Most trainers teach punches. Cus taught psychology, and his first lesson shocked Tyson. Cus told him something that stayed with him forever. Heroes and cowards feel the exact same fear. Tyson didn't understand. Cus explained, the difference isn't fear. The difference is what you do with it. A coward runs. A hero moves forward, even while afraid. For the first time in his life, Tyson realized something. Fear wasn't his enemy. Fear was normal. Every fighter felt it. Every champion felt it. The goal wasn't to eliminate fear. The goal was to master it. And from that moment forward, Tyson began transforming himself. Chapter 2. Building the Monster. Most people assume Tyson became terrifying because he was physically gifted. And yes, he was. Fast hands, explosive power, exceptional reflexes. But physical talent wasn't what made opponents fear him. It was psychology. Cus D'Amato understood something most trainers missed. Boxing isn't only fought in the ring. It's fought in the mind. If you can break someone's confidence before the first punch, you've already won half the battle. So together they built something extraordinary. A fighter whose presence alone created anxiety. A fighter who looked completely comfortable with violence. A fighter who appeared fearless. The truth was very different. Years later, Tyson admitted he was nervous before nearly every fight. Sometimes terrified. Sometimes shaking. Sometimes unable to relax. But nobody saw it because Cus taught him how to hide it. How to transform fear into focus. How to create an image so intimidating that opponents became frightened first. And over time, that image became legendary. Opponent after opponent collapsed. Not just physically, mentally. The fear surrounding Tyson grew larger with every knockout. Every victory strengthened the myth. Every destruction increased the legend. Eventually, people stopped asking if Tyson would win. They started asking how quickly. And that's when Michael Spinks entered the picture. Chapter 3. The Perfect Champion. Michael Spinks wasn't supposed to lose. He wasn't a random opponent. He wasn't a stepping stone. He wasn't an easy fight. Spinks was undefeated. 31 wins. 0 losses. An Olympic gold medalist. The reigning heavyweight champion of the world. A highly intelligent boxer. Technically brilliant. Mentally strong. He had already defeated some of the best fighters of his era. Many experts considered him one of boxing's smartest champions. If anyone could solve the Tyson puzzle, it was Michael Spinks. The fight immediately became enormous. Newspapers covered it daily. Television networks couldn't stop discussing it. Fans debated endlessly. Could Tyson's aggression overcome Spinks' intelligence? Could Spinks survive Tyson's early attack? Could Tyson handle a truly elite champion? The excitement was his opponents looked defeated before fights began. Stories spread constantly. Stories about sparring sessions. Stories about training camps. Stories about devastating knockouts. Every story made Tyson seem larger than life, more dangerous, more unstoppable, and the media amplified everything. Each headline increased the fear. Each highlight reinforced the image. By the time Michael Spinks prepared for the fight, he wasn't just fighting Tyson. He was fighting Tyson's reputation, a reputation built over years, one that followed opponents everywhere, into training camps, into interviews, into their thoughts, into their sleep. Many fighters later admitted they struggled with Tyson long before entering the ring. The psychological pressure was overwhelming, and Michael Spinks wasn't immune. Chapter 5, Fight Night, June 27, 1988, Atlantic City. The atmosphere felt electric. Thousands filled the arena. Millions watched around the world. This was supposed to be boxing's biggest showdown. Two undefeated champions. One undisputed crown. Everything on the line. Inside the building, both fighters prepared separately. And that's where the most famous story of the night begins. A story that would become boxing legend. Tyson later revealed he was terrified before the fight. Terrified. Not nervous. Terrified. His heart raced. His mind raced. Doubts appeared. What if tonight was different? What if tonight was the night he lost? What if everyone discovered he wasn't invincible? The fear became overwhelming. Then Tyson did something strange. Something that would become part of boxing history. He removed his traditional robe. Instead, he wore only a black towel with a hole cut into it. Nothing flashy. Nothing decorative. Nothing champion-like. Just a black towel. People assumed it was intimidation. But Tyson later explained the truth. It wasn't for Spinks. It was for himself. The towel transformed him psychologically. Made him feel like a warrior. Made him feel dangerous. Made him forget fear. It wasn't confidence. It was armor. Mental armor. And it worked. Chapter 6, The Walk. Then came the walk to the ring. One of the most famous walks in sports history. No music. No spectacle. No distractions. Just Mike Tyson, wearing black, walking forward, expressionless, focused, almost emotionless. Fans watching live felt something unusual. The atmosphere changed. Even decades later, people still talk about it. There was something unsettling about Tyson that night. Something cold. Something intense. Something unforgettable. Meanwhile, Michael Spinks watched. And according to several people present, something changed in him too. Some noticed tension. Others noticed uncertainty. Nobody knows exactly what he felt. Only Spinks knows that. But many observers later believed the psychological battle had reached its conclusion. Not because Tyson threatened him. Because Tyson embodied the legend everyone feared. The myth had become reality. Chapter 7, 91 seconds. The bell rang. Everything stopped. Years of preparation. Months of promotion. Millions of dollars. All reduced to one moment. Tyson moved forward immediately. No hesitation. No caution. No uncertainty. Spinks tried to establish distance. Tried to settle into rhythm. Tried to begin boxing. He never got the chance. Tyson exploded forward. The speed shocked everyone. Then came the first knockdown. The crowd erupted. Spinks rose. But the momentum had shifted completely. Tyson smelled opportunity. And when Tyson sensed weakness, he became incredibly dangerous. Moments later, it happened. The punch. The combination. The knockout. Spinks collapsed. The referee counted. The fight was over. 91 seconds. That's all it took. The most anticipated fight in boxing had ended almost instantly. The arena exploded with noise. Fans screamed. Commentators struggled to process what they had witnessed. It felt unreal. How could a championship fight end so quickly? How could an undefeated champion be dismantled so completely? The answer wasn't simple, because the real story wasn't about one punch. It was about years. Years of psychological warfare. Years of myth building. Years of fear. Chapter 8, The Dark Secret. So what was the dark secret behind Tyson's most feared knockout? It wasn't power. It wasn't speed. It wasn't technique. Those things mattered, but they weren't the secret. The secret was fear. Tyson's fear. The same fear he carried as a child. The same fear he carried before fights. The same fear he carried into the locker room that night. Most people believe great champions eliminate fear. Tyson proved the opposite. He never eliminated it. He weaponized it. He transformed it. He used it. Every training session, every walk to the ring, every fight, fear became fuel. And that's what made him different. Opponents feared Tyson. Tyson feared failure. And fear of failure is often stronger than fear of pain. Much stronger. Chapter 9, The Lesson. Years later, Tyson reflected on that period differently. The invincible image. The terrifying reputation. The knockouts. The fear. He understood something many people missed. The strongest version of himself wasn't necessarily the happiest version. Being feared came with costs. Isolation, pressure, expectations. People saw a monster. Very few saw the frightened kid underneath. The kid who simply learned how to hide fear better than everyone else. That's why the Spinks knockout remains fascinating. Not because it lasted 91 seconds. Because it reveals something deeper about human nature. We assume fearless people are fearless. We assume confidence means certainty. We assume strength means absence of doubt. But often the opposite is true. Many of the strongest people carry tremendous fear. They simply refuse to let it stop them. And Mike Tyson may be the greatest example. Ending. On paper, the fight lasted 91 seconds. In reality, it took years. Years of fear. Years of discipline. Years of psychological conditioning. Years of transformation. That's the dark secret behind Mike Tyson's most feared knockout. Not that he was fearless, but that he wasn't. The most terrifying fighter in the world walked toward the ring, carrying the same emotion that affects all human beings. Fear. The difference was what he did with it. And on one unforgettable night in Atlantic City, that difference changed boxing history forever.